have already deserted, with another 26,000 killed in the ferocious and unhindered bombing leading up to G-Day.
Wow.
The 700,000
Wow. 26,000 from just bombing? Whoa. Holy hell.
Late.
Trying to make more Americans angry. Oh, I have a lot to say in this video. Oh, I do.
On the 23rd of February 1991, 10 Special Forces reconnaissance.
The comments that I got in my last video, it disappointed me. But I'm going to debunk most, if not all of them in this video. So, stick around.
Teams of the US 3rd and 5th Special Forces groups crossed the border into Iraq by helicopter. They are to join Green Beret, Delta Force and British SAS operatives already in Iraq. In just a few hours' time, the ground invasion to liberate Kuwait will begin, and these invisible eyes in the desert will report on Iraqi division movements. Operation Desert Storm has been ongoing for 5 weeks. A 35-nation-strong coalition formed as a response to the Iraqi invasion of Kuwait has been engaged in a massive bombing campaign against Saddam Hussein's Iraq. With an average of 2,500 bombing sorties per day, the command and control structures and logistics lines to Saddam's army in the east have been severely degraded. More recently, the bombing has shifted towards Iraqi troops themselves, aiming to soften them up and weaken their resolve to fight such a superior enemy. Coalition Navy ships have also blasted Iraqi positions near the Kuwaiti coast with naval gunfire. President George H.W. Bush issues a final ultimatum to Saddam Hussein: leave Kuwait by 8 p.m. on the 23rd of February, or face a ground invasion.
And he knew that Saddam was not going to leave. Of course he wasn't going to leave. Saddam needed to annex Kuwait. We're already a minute into the video. I don't even know when I should start debunking these comments. But I'm going to start a little bit here. A lot of the Kuwaiti accusations against the Iraqis, a lot of it was extremely questionable. Extremely questionable. You could go look this up yourself, because many historians actually question the validity of what Kuwait was saying about the Iraqis. I had a comment where a freaking U.S. veteran said that he witnessed some bad things that Iraqi forces did. Dude, frankly speaking, in any war zone, you're gonna have bad apples. But if you look at it objectively overall, a lot of what Kuwait was saying was extremely questionable. Unironically, really questionable. And there actually may have been some truth to what Saddam was saying about Kuwait cross-drilling and purposely, what the hell is that word? Purposely increasing oil prices to purposely hurt Iraq's, because Iraq was super in debt to Kuwait at the time. I don't know what the hell the word is. Even though they had a treaty to not do that. I forgot what the hell that treaty was. Alright, let's continue, because we have 16 minutes to go. I don't want to yap yet. I'm not going to yap yet.
The beginning of the ground invasion is scheduled to begin at 4 a.m. on the 24th. General Norman Schwarzkopf, Commander-in-Chief of Coalition Forces, arrives at Central Command in Riyadh. Coalition forces are split into 5 corps along the front line. On the west flank, 18 Airborne Corps, made up of 4 divisions. The French Daguet, a light armoured division of tanks, recon and armoured infantry, including 2 regiments of the prestigious and recently battle-experienced French Foreign Legion. The infamous US 82nd and 101st Airborne Divisions. The 82nd will support the French Daguet as motorised infantry. The 16,000 paratroopers of the 101st will ride into battle.
16,000 is wild. 16,000 is wild.
The 24th Infantry Division and 3rd Armoured Cavalry Regiment, bringing a combined 333 Bradley infantry fighting vehicles and 333 Abrams main battle tanks. The 2 formations bring an armoured capability to 18 corps. 7 corps, in the centre, are the heavy armoured fist of the coalition. The US 1st and 3rd Armoured Divisions and the British 1st Armoured Division are the centrepiece of the battering ram, using Abrams and Challenger tanks. Supplementing the 3 armoured divisions are the US 1st Cavalry and 1st Infantry divisions, and the 2nd Armoured Cavalry Regiment, with further Abrams and Bradleys, helicopter, engineering and artillery support. 1st Infantry, known as the Big Red 1, were the first wave to attack Omaha Beach on D-Day in 1944. 7 Corps will roll across the border with 1,487 main battle tanks.
Hey, just because these people are actively engaging in imperialism doesn't mean I can't respect them, though.
1,384 infantry fighting vehicles, 242 attack helicopters, and 146,000 troops. East of 7 Corps, on the border with Kuwait, is Joint Forces Command North, made up of divisions of Egyptian, Saudi, Kuwaiti, and Syrian armour.
Ah, yes, the other Arab states. Yeah, people are telling me that even the other Arab states even participated in an invasion to liberate Kuwait. Yeah, no. No. The Arab states, again, dude, all of this literally just boils down to just foreign interests and each and every country's interests at the time. Saddam was not playing in the other country's interest in the region at the time. It's literally just that simple. Saddam was going against the interests of every single other country in the region. So they all use the excuse to just simply destroy his army so that he wouldn't be able to do anything. Oh my goodness gracious me. You really think that they care about Kuwait? No, they don't. They don't. I'm going to explain more, but I'm just saying, just sit down and think to yourself, okay? There's so much other issues that these countries literally have that they need to fix in their own country. And you're telling me that, oh my gosh, they feel morally right to go and liberate Kuwait when they have other issues that they need to do? Bro, come on. Everyone who watches my videos are adults. When I posted that last video, I expected everyone to have basic common sense, but it appears not. But again, we're only like 4 minutes in. I don't want to yap yet.
Marine Central Command comprises the US 1st and 2nd Marine Divisions, armed with the older M60 tanks, and a brigade from the 2nd Armored Division.
Bro, I freaking hated those tanks on freaking War Thunder when I used to play that game. Oh my, yo.
East flank is another joint command of mechanized Arab forces from Saudi Arabia, Oman, the UAE, Kuwait, Bahrain, Morocco, and Senegal. With the Iraqi Air Force neutralized, overwhelming air power can be brought to bear with many hundreds of coalition strike and close air support aircraft, ready to react at a moment's notice. Coalition ground forces number nearly 700,000. The Iraqi military can't boast such firepower. Of the approximately 350,000 Iraqi troops in the region, it is estimated that 140,000 have already deserted, with another 26,000 killed in the ferocious and unhindered bombing leading up to G-Day.
Wow.
The 700,000
wow. 26,000 from just bombing? Whoa. Holy hell.
Coalition troops, with modern tanks and air power, will face roughly 180,000 Iraqis, armed with tanks that mostly date from pre-1980 and with no air power. Even the most modern T-72 tanks have an effective range of just over half that of the Abrams and Challenger tanks they'll be matched against. Saddam has positioned his weakest divisions on the border. His elite Republican Guard divisions are positioned further north, with the Tawakalna division the nearest on the Iraq-Kuwait border. If they're to liberate Kuwait, coalition armour will have to face the Republican Guard in the desert. The coalition war plan is as follows. At 4 AM on the 24th of February, G-Day, the left and right flanks will advance into enemy territory. On the right flank, Marine Central Command and Joint Forces Command East will carefully carve entry paths through the dense minefields on the Kuwaiti border and engage the enemy beyond. On the left, the Mobile 18 Corps will blitz north. The 101st Airborne will perform a massive helicopter assault to capture an area 155 miles behind enemy lines, named Objective Cobra, hold it, and build a forward operating base, potentially under fire. Meanwhile, the rest of 18 Corps will advance north by land. The French and 82nd Airborne will capture objective Rochambeau, another supply route near As Salman, and then As Salman Crossroads and Airfield, so that ground supply trucks can reach the 101st further north. On G+1, the Armoured Fist of 7 Corps will advance across the Saddam line and move north. On G+2, on reaching Al Basaya, 7 Corps will wheel right into Kuwait, where they'll face the Republican Guard en masse. The Arab forces on the right flank will have the honour of liberating Kuwait City. At 5:30.
Oh my goodness gracious me. The honor of liberating Kuwait City. Bro. Yeah, sure. Yeah, the honor of liberating Kuwait City. Oh my gosh. Dude, that was not the goal. That was literally not the whole goal. I will say this to the day that I die. The real reason for the first Desert War was to destroy Saddam's army, because Saddam was going against the interests of literally every single Arab country in the region, and he was going against US interests when it was super clear after the Iran-Iraq war that Saddam was going to go against US interests. The Americans quickly needed a reason, and they got a perfect excuse. I mean, it was just a coincidence, really and truly. They just used Kuwait as a coincidence, and it worked. I mean, it worked so well that even now, to this very day, we got Americans who still believe that it was such a morally righteous thing to do to go liberate Kuwait, and that was totally the reason why America, invaded Iraq the first time. Okay, so we're 6 minutes into the video. Let me start debunking some comments, right? First one. Iraq breached international law by annexing Kuwait. Again, I already said the first time, there unironically may have been some legitimate truth to what Saddam was saying. Many historians actually debate about that when they actually relook at the situation. We will never know if Kuwait was cross-drilling. Probably were. They actually probably were cross-drilling, which is actually like affecting Iraq a lot. But we'll never know, because Saddam everything is kind of gone. So we'll never know. But that may have actually been happening. Number two. Okay. This is what, in the 1990s? The Iran-Iraq war literally happened like a decade ago, lasted almost 10 years. Dude. So you're telling me, right? Because people like to say, oh my gosh, he breached international law. Okay, so when Iraq invaded Iran in the Iran-Iraq war, right? And literally like the entire West was supporting freaking Iraq, the same Saddam Hussein right here. Oh, what happened to international law? What happened to international law there? Seriously, this is why I said I'm disappointed in the comments that I had in the last video. You're telling me that you don't know about the Iran-Iraq war. If you know anything about the Iran-Iraq war, you would literally know that this invasion was not justified in the first Gulf War, which happened shortly afterward. Because as the Iranian Revolution happened and the Shah of Iran was overthrown, who was a US puppet, by the way, the US needed someone or something to try and destroy Ayatollah Kamal. Yeah, I'm not even going to say his name, but the current leader of Iran. Since Iran was now against US interests, Saddam Hussein coincidentally had beef with Iran. Now, I'm not talking about the Iran-Iraq war. I'm just saying he still breached international law. He literally invaded Iran and nobody condemned him. Literally, everyone supported him. It's literally a meme how basically Iran was basically fighting against everyone else in the whole world. Obviously not. But the whole point is that they had literally support from virtually everyone else because nobody liked Iran. Nobody liked Iran. Iran was going against everyone's foreign interest in the region, especially the US. So don't come in my comments talking about my UN, but the UN, bruh, the UN, the United Nations, he broke international law because that's hypocritical. Even then, a couple decades back, the U.S. invaded Grenada. Literally, Grenada. And I was thinking about doing a personal video on this. Grenada is an island right next to my country, by the way. My country also took part in that invasion, but that was actually justified from my country's part. But when the US invaded, the entire United Nations voted 103 or 106 to like 7, condemning the US, and literally told them that this was a blatant violation of international law when they invaded Grenada. Most of y'all probably don't know what Grenada is, but I know about it because it's near my country. It's actually right next to my country, but a bit more southward. But what did America do? They still invaded anyways. And they completely disregarded what the UN said. So don't come in my comments talking about UN. Saddam invading Kuwait actually had more legitimate reasons than the US invasion of Grenada, which happened shortly a decade before this. In 1983, I'm pretty sure it was 1983. So it wasn't even a decade after. It was like 7 years or something like that, if my math isn't bad today. So don't come in my comments talking about UN, bruh. No, do not. Plenty of times America has completely disregarded international law. This is all about U.S. interests. You need to think deeper. Okay, America is not a morally righteous force. It's not. Stop. Why are y'all so brainwashed? Why? You're grown adults, bruh. Come on. You're grown adults and you're still yapping this nonsense. I mean, what else do I say? It's nonsense. You telling me that you can't think deeper? Oh my goodness gracious me. Get out of here. All right, let's continue.
30 a.m. on the 24th of February, the US Marines on the right flank advance across the border. They're immediately met with Iraqi artillery fire. Because they don't have any forward observers or helicopter support, the shells are being fired wildly at the American line, and no hits are scored. To cover their advance, Marine artillery returns fire with 140 artillery pieces and 9 multiple launch rocket artillery systems. Pairs of Marine jets bomb the enemy positions every 7.5 minutes. A deadly display of superior firepower pounds the Iraqi positions, and they very soon crumble for no US loss. In just 30 minutes, the Marines cover the 12 miles to the edge of the first minefield in Kuwait. 500 engineers will clear 6 individual tank-width lanes across the minefield. 3 M60 tanks fitted with specialist mine-clearing equipment known as combat engineer vehicles and a Mark 154 mine clearance launcher move to the head of each prospective lane. The Mark 154 launches 3 cables laced with explosive 35 yards into the minefield.
Whoa!
The explosive cables are then detonated, thereby detonating to carve a line through the field.
That is cool.
After each detonation, the 3 combat engineer vehicles use plows and rakes to clear and smooth the route.
That is actually cool.
The first lane will open. Expecting an Iraqi counterattack within hours, none materializes.
Holy!
Tanks start to stream through the lanes as they open. Meanwhile, on the left flank, 18 Corps have no minefield to contend with and advance into Iraq. The French Daguet are the first to cross with a brigade from 82nd Airborne. They encounter only sporadic enemy artillery fire from scattered elements of the Iraqi 45th Infantry Division, who are dispersed thinly over a wide area to defend the western flank.
Yeah, the Iraqi army is more or less trash. Like, look.
Coalition artillery returns fire. The American paratroopers transmit a message to their French colleagues. Side by side, French and American soldiers will write a page in history. They roll north slowly and carefully to minimize casualties. To their east, the first wave of 106 helicopters of the 101st Airborne, known as the Screaming Eagles, sweep over the border just 10 feet from the ground. They follow a trail of radio beacons dropped by a pair of Apaches and Blackhawks during the night. The two Apaches wait for them at the objective area and engage Iraqi anti-air forces nearby. Lieutenant Colonel Richard Cody is commanding the pair, the same pilot who commanded the flight of Apaches that attacked the radar sites on day 1 of the air war. He was also one of the first to cross the border during the ground invasion. Before cautiously moving forward, the area in front of the French advance is blasted by artillery and airstrikes. Kiowas and French Gazelles attack enemy vehicles ahead of the front line and also guide in A-10 strikes. This Vietnam-like tactic is repeated with each advance, and so progress is not the blitz-like speed that Schwarzkopf was hoping for. A nasty sandstorm and rain slows progress further. Almost immediately after engagement, encountered Iraqi forces begin to surrender. These are Saddam's weakest divisions. They're malnourished and not interested in fighting. Processing 2,000 surrendered troops slows progress even further. The French and American force continues to crawl forward. The first of the Screaming Eagles disembark from their helicopters.
Now, let me say something, right? I do not think that Saddam is right guy. No, I don't like Saddam Hussein. Okay, no, especially what he did to the Kurds. What he did to the Kurds was really, really wrong, really, really bad, and extremely nasty. Which is hilarious because if America was so right and just such a force for good, why didn't America choose to, invade Iraq when Saddam was literally ethnically cleansing the Kurds? Wide open for the whole world to see. Oh, yeah, that's because at the time Saddam was invading Iran, which was, in the interest of the U.S. So what did the U.S. do? Oh, turn a blind eye to it. And it was heartbreaking. I watched a documentary on it. That was heartbreaking. I watched a documentary on that. I read a bit about it. That was super heartbreaking. The only people that actually supported the Kurds when they were getting ethnically cleansed was Iran. Just because, again, Iraq was invading Iran at the time during the Iran-Iraq war. So it was like, oh, great, cool. Another ally that just so happens to hate the same person as me. Yeah, but America more or less did nothing at all. Literally, did nothing at all. I have people in my comments talking about Kuwait. But the people of Kuwait, bruh. The people of Kuwait. Oh my gosh, they need to liberate it. Okay, why couldn't they liberate the freaking Kurds? Oh, but international law. Okay, America has broken international law so many times. Literally, like 7 years ago, they broke international law and invaded Grenada. They broke UN law. Okay. Oh my goodness gracious me. Let's continue.
A mile south of Objective Cobra at 8 a.m. They roll 105mm howitzers out the back of the Chinooks and immediately start lobbing artillery shells at the defenders. F-16s and A-10s arrive overhead to help the Apaches hammer enemy bunkers, tanks and vehicles. Under relentless aerial bombardment, 300 Iraqis surrender just 1 hour after the first boots landed. Wave after wave of helicopters stream into Objective Cobra over the next few hours, bringing more troops, artillery, Humvees armed with wire-guided anti-tank weapons, enormous underslung rubber sacks containing a total of 1 million gallons of fuel, food, water and ammunition. The Humvees set up a defensive perimeter while the base is constructed. To the south, the French and 82nd arrive at the area of land known as Objective Rochambeau, at midday having met almost no opposition but sporadic artillery and mortar fire en route. French helicopters move in from the west and destroy 12 bunkers, 1 tank, 5 armoured personnel carriers and 8 trucks. Another pounding by artillery precedes the armoured assault on the objective, provoking another mass surrender by the defending Iraqi troops without engagement. The time is 2:30 p.m.
The mighty Iraqi army. So mighty that they couldn't even invade Iran. Oh my goodness. Like I said, dude, I don't like Saddam Hussein. I don't. Okay, it just so happened that the US, like, he just so happened to be the leader of Iraq when America decided to invade. I don't know, probably if Iraq had a different leader that wasn't going against American interests and the Arab interests in the Middle East, the other Arab countries, of course, they probably wouldn't have gone and invaded. Yeah, I don't like Saddam Hussein, to be honest. Okay, so don't come in my comments talking about so. Yeah, he supports Saddam. No, I don't. I very much don't. It's just that it's like the Soviet Union and Germany World War II fighting each other. It's like both sides are literally bad, but there's still certain things that you can point out, bruh.
And the French and Americans have moved into Iraq and taken their first objective, overwhelming all opposition immediately, accepting 3,500 surrenders and losing only 2 soldiers. Schwarzkopf is unhappy that this walkover wasn't performed fast enough, and demands that the advance on As Salman is sped up. It's a similar situation on the right flank. M60 tanks and marines are now through the first and second layer of minefields. Artillery continues to batter enemy positions, including aircraft-directed counterfire against enemy artillery pieces. A captured Iraqi colonel describes the dispositions of his remaining forces. The minefield itself claims 9 tanks, but no marines killed. On the left flank, a convoy of marine vehicles is attacked from behind by M60 tanks in a friendly fire incident. With 50 rounds fired, 2 trucks and an assault vehicle are destroyed, killing 1 marine. A strange case of luck that the tank gunnery was so poor in this case. To the east of the Marines, the Arab forces of Joint Forces Command East are also through both minefields and have also met little opposition and mass surrenders. The Iraqi forces in this area are of similarly poor quality to those facing 18 Corps, made up mostly of enforced conscripts who don't want to be there, especially given that they've been thrown into such a hopeless situation against such a superior enemy. The ease and speed of the Marines' advance presents a problem for Schwarzkopf. Even before midday on G-Day, he estimates that his right flank is 8 hours ahead of schedule. The Egyptians of Joint Forces Command North on the Marines' left and the armour of 7 Corps further west are not scheduled to cross the border until the next day, G+1. However, the speed and depth of the Marines' advance has left their left flank vulnerable to attack, or worse envelopment, by Iraqi armoured divisions just west of them. Schwarzkopf makes the bold decision to move the central assault forward to today at 3 p.m, just 2 hours away and 15 hours ahead of schedule. British 1st Armoured Division rushes to join the rest of 7 Corps on the front line from their staging area 60 miles behind the line.
That's right, boy. You gotta do your job as vassal. Gotta do your job as an American vassal.
The last-minute time change carries logistical risks, but the enemy is weaker than anticipated, and the advantage needs pressing. Scout helicopters begin to move into enemy territory to spot Iraqi units. Across the front line from 7 Corps, 2 brigades of the Iraqi 26th Infantry Division have set up defensive positions in the shape of a triangle, looking down a slope towards the line, with mortars and towed artillery to the rear.
Ooh, nasty.
Similarly,
nasty, man.
31st, 46th and 48th Infantry Divisions lie in wait northeast of them. They occupy a system of defensive fortifications, trenches, bunkers, minefields and barbed wire known as the Saddam Line. At 2:30 p.m, 30 minutes before the breach is to begin, the most ferocious artillery barrage in recent history is unleashed against Iraqi positions. 13 artillery battalions fire 11,000 rounds. Multiple launch rocket systems also open fire, launching rockets that travel to and dispense 650 bomblets over the target area.
Woo!
10 batteries devastate the Iraqi lines with 650,000 bomblets. The bombardment lasts until 3 p.m, and 7 Corps crosses the line into enemy territory. The 334 Abrams and 224 Bradleys of the 1st Infantry Division are the first to engage, firing fearsome volleys of rounds into the Iraqi trenches and bunker positions. For the first time, the defenders don't surrender and return fire with tanks, artillery, anti-tank guns,
Holy crap, they're actually like fighting back. Wow.
small arms and RPGs, albeit disorganized and inaccurate. 2nd Armored Cavalry lead the left flank's advance and meet similar resistance deeper in Iraq. Under fire, combat engineers hastily clear lanes across the thin minefield, and vehicles of the 1st Infantry move across. On reaching the Iraqi trenches, the Bradley infantry fighting vehicles don't dismount their infantry to clear them. Instead, armoured bulldozers turn left and right and move up the edge of the trenches, using ploughs to push the piled up sand and dirt back into the trenches, filling them in.
That is actually smart.
This tactic is controversial because 150 Iraqis who don't surrender are buried alive. By sunset,
Although, yeah, I would see why that is controversial. Because that is an inhumane way to unalive someone. Yeah. But you know, America's committing so many war crimes at this point. I don't even know. It's like, does it really matter?
infantry have broken through the Saddam line in multiple
It's smart, but is it moral? Is the question.
Only 2 casualties. With safe lanes marked through the line, the armoured divisions begin to move up to the front, ready to begin their mighty punch into Iraq and Kuwait. While Schwarzkopf is happy with the almost unbelievable lack of casualties sustained on day 1, he is unhappy with the slow speed with which the French have advanced in the west, and 7 Corps in the centre. The rain and sandstorms have certainly slowed progress, but the common theme across the whole front is that the weak and unmotivated conscript divisions on the front line are surrendering in such high numbers that it is taking time to process them. But the invasion as a whole is still hours ahead of schedule, and most importantly, many of the coalition's armoured divisions will be across or crossing the minefields and the Saddam line during the morning of day 2. The ground war of Desert Storm has got off to a near-perfect start, but in day 2, the coalition will face motivated and armoured Iraqi opposition, including the respected Republican Guard.
Oh yeah, the Republican Guard. Menace to society. Oh man. Shoot. Okay, I gotta reread some of the comments that I had in my other video. See if I fail to debunk any. If I did, I'll probably just debunk it in the next video that I react on this series. Look, man, go and like the video. Okay, so my videos on the YouTube algorithm, which is funny because dislikes also help me out. I don't really care. Just dislike my video, like it. I don't know, man. Do whatever. If you do like my reactions and you made it to the end, go and subscribe. You know what I'm saying? You got any suggestions for me? Go comment down below. Thank you for watching and goodbye. Oh my goodness gracious me! I cannot wait to read the comment.